Courtroom, the court is watching the police interrogation video of Lanz's parents following his arrest.
And Detective Standard. Here about that. Scott? Yes, tonight. Detective Standard? You're three, then? Yeah. 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 You guys need anything? So, trying to keep y'all awake here, especially this hour of the night. Obviously, Detective Jackson has been really busy. We're investigating that murder that happened in your neighborhood, at your house. Has everybody told you that they might switch what's going on with your son, Matthew? They might switch what's going on with Matthew. Not really, because I was told. Well, I'm going to fill you in here what we know so far. Okay. Sometime this morning, around 8. Oh, not 8. 45.
8 a.m. 8:45 a.m.
Matthew was found in two people's houses down in Sandy Springs. When the officer showed up, he was in someone's house. He then pulled out a knife and he stabbed Sandy Springs officer multiple times. Sandy Springs officer on the freaking news. Sandy Springs officer is expected to survive. Matthew was shot at least twice, but he was fine. He was treated at a hospital. He is expected to make a full recovery. But I just wanted to let you know that now. Okay?
God.
You want me to give you a minute? We can step out. We can stop. And then you have now. I like I said, that was something that happened in Sandy Springs. Detective Jackson, I found out about it really early in the morning. We've been down in Sandy Springs for the whole part of the day, trying to figure out everything that kind of transpired down there. Obviously, Sandy Springs and the GPI are doing their own separate investigation as far as that goes. But obviously, in light of where this double homicide happens, and Matthew being in someone's home with a weapon and hurting a police officer, it obviously raises our suspicion that makes us want to
You're
figure it out.
it's Matthew?
Yes.
He had ID on him with his name?
Yes, he's done it. Well, we heard the body cameras and all that stuff. He was in someone's house, more than one house down there at Sandy Springs. The police showed up to try to talk to him, and he pulled out a knife and he stabbed the officer in the back of the head. He's in custody down in Sandy Springs. Well, we literally just saw him with our own 2 eyes. We went down there to meet with the Sandy Springs detective to try to figure out what was going on and what happened. Sorry to tell you.
I cannot. I can't believe it. I'm sick.
Like I said, if you need a minute to talk amongst yourself or just need 5 or 10 minutes before.
They came to our house and treated me like a criminal. They brought me outside and put my hands behind my back and frisked me.
The police that came to your house?
Yeah. They said, do you have a weapon?
Well, that I don't know how that probably makes you feel that way. No one just thinks you're a criminal. But we also don't know who decided or what happened, especially when we just had an officer who just got stabbed. They're just very extra careful about how they proceed at that point.
And you think he's okay?
He is okay. He went to the hospital. He treated. He got released. The officer's fine. The officer is expected.
The officer's still in the hospital, but he's expected to survive. Matthew is released from the hospital. He's going to be fine.
He got shot. Matthew got shot.
He did.
And
the police. Yes, a police officer on the scene who was there did fire his weapon, and Matthew was shot. Like I said, we weren't there. I can't tell you every little bit of detail because we work at Cobb. This happened at Sandy Springs. We did go down there to try to figure out what happened this morning. That's the information we have so far from that. sure they still have a lot of work to do as far as the investigation, because we were down there at those houses this morning.
Do you
So
have
you
any?
had suspicion about Matthew prior to that? Sandy Springs.
So the house where that double homicide happened, we understand there was a connection there with your other son.
Yeah.
We heard about that incident. Okay. We heard that there was a brother. We didn't really know who Matthew was at the time when we were investigating this double homicide. But we knew there was another son of yours.
Let's go ahead and bring in National Trial Attorney Michael Jafer, who is joining us this hour as we watch this case out of Georgia. Michael, all right, things are starting to pick up a little bit. We're hearing the parents' reaction. The police are telling them about their son and what he did to an officer. The mom, understandably, is shocked. Hard to watch their reaction as the police are informing them about their son's actions.
Oh yeah, very, very shocking. And they wouldn't have been too shocked because they would have known that something was wrong with their son when he hit puberty and he started developing he's falling behind, and people were probably telling them for years now, up until that interview, hey, there's something wrong with your son. He's not developing properly. He's saying some very odd things. So, you know, it's still different to be sitting in an interrogation room with a police officer and being told what they were being told. So yeah, they seemed shocked, but also deeply they probably were not too shocked.
Yeah, I would suspect as much. Michael, how do you think this case is progressing so far? Just before this situation, we heard from a detective talking about some surveillance video around the home. Now we're getting into the police interviews and questioning of the parents. How do you think it's proceeding so far?
I think it's proceeding. Honestly, I'm very refreshed to see an attorney do something that I've told every attorney who's ever tried a case like this, where insanity or something in that family was part of the defense. I've told them, waive the jury. In this case, they waived the jury. It's very refreshing to see, because then they could focus on the facts. They can focus on how everything happened, and then they have, instead of a jury, they have a grizzled veteran in the judge analyzing the facts and putting them into what they know the law is and what they need to do. So I'm very refreshed that they're doing that. You could see a more relaxed demeanor by the defense attorneys in what they're doing. Relaxed, not as in they're relaxed in the courtroom, but in terms of they have wider latitude with explaining the facts, and they have a receptive, you know, trier of fact in the judge understanding what they're trying to do. So I think that you're going to see a more academic exercise by both the prosecutors and the defense attorneys. So that's how I see the case going right now.
Yeah, definitely smart approach by defense counsel here for the bench trial. Michael, thank you. We're going to squeeze in a break. More of the murder trial for Matthew Lanz when we come back. Stay with us. And welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Kelly Craft. It is day 2 of testimony in the trial of a man accused of killing his neighbors, then going on a violent crime spree in the state of Georgia. Defendant Matthew Lanz is accused of brutally murdering Justin and Amber Hicks in their home near Atlanta in November of 2021, and then leaving their 2-year-old son alone for more than 12 hours until police found him. Lanz was arrested 2 days later after he stabbed a police officer who responded to a burglary call. Other officers fired at Lanz, hitting him twice. Now, this is a bench trial, meaning the judge will decide Lanz's fate. Right now, the court is watching the police interview of the defendant's parents.
When Sandy Springs found out who Matthew was and where he lived in relation to where the double homicide happened, they called us and said, hey, you might want to, know about this. Because how close it was. Now he's in someone else's home, and now he's armed with a weapon, and that's a police officer. So obviously, when we're investigating a homicide, that is something we have to follow up on. We have to look into that aspect. Okay. So that's how Detective Jackson and I ended up down in
How could he be mentally disturbed? He's been seeing a psychiatrist since the thing that happened with Austin, because we were concerned they were so close. And we went together at first.
And obviously, we've never met. I've never met Matthew. I've never had any communications with Matthew prior. I knew nothing about who Matthew was and what his life has been like as this still today. I never even knew anything about whatever happened at that house with your other son previously until yesterday. Literally, this is the first time this has come to light to me. So that is why, obviously, we're here. Another thing that concerned us was that about the firearm Matthew had, and that I guess from what we're being told, he may have taken from him for whatever. Told him where it is. Yeah. And we appreciate that.
We told him that after what happened to Austin, he could not have any gun.
Let me back up once. Yeah. When they were younger, well, I don't remember if I bought them or who bought them, but we have one left, and we used to go to the range and shoot the long gun. I don't even remember what it is. Then they purchased 2 handguns separate, like 4 together or something. I never really got a true story out of that. And after Austin's incident, we found them.
We didn't even know they were in town.
We never had any idea.
And let me preface this a little bit. When I said, like, we've never met before, I never knew anything about Matthew, I never knew anything about your great son. We're not here to judge Matthew, your other son, you guys. We just trying to get answers.
Yeah, we want to give you some background.
That's kind of what we're trying to do.
Guns are now locked up in a safe. We bought a safe after we took them away. Put them in a safe, hid them in the closet. Matthew always asks about his guns. Don't worry about your guns. You're not getting them back. Maybe one day I'll go with you, but not right now, because I'm just not a gun person at all. I saw him every week. He'd come home where I'd go to Athens and we'd play golf. We'd have dinner. They knew it was going to be tough with his brother's loss. We knew he had something going on in his head that we couldn't figure out. We couldn't figure out Austin either. We thought we were doing the right thing. I don't know if we ever will. But Matthew wasn't right. We were going to pull him out of Georgia, bring him back home, let him go local, be around him more, and he didn't want to do that. He said, I'm fine. So he's got some issues. After all the gun malarkey, he went out and bought a gun. He told us October.
Yeah, we didn't know this until yesterday.
When we went to see him, there was a gun at the party. We said, what the F is this?
Where did you get this?
Where did you get this? I bought it at Athens gun store.
Gun range.
Whatever. I don't freaking remember. And I said, you can't have this. He said, Dad, it's personal property. It's mine. He's defiant. He doesn't like law. He doesn't like rules.
He needs to protect himself. For some reason,
there's a fear that somebody's out to get him.
With this, he said that's what he says every time we say, "Why do you think you need something to protect yourself?" Because everybody should have something to protect themselves.
And we have guns, private guns.
We never have.
We're not gun people.
But anyway,
We can't comprehend.
I took the gun back to our house, and I told folks where they wouldn't let us go in there anymore, but they know exactly where it is. And there's a connection. My guess is, I don't know.
The reason we went to Athens yesterday, I went first because after we found out about the neighbors, I started trying to call him, to tell him before he saw it or heard it, and he wasn't answering his phone. And I continued to text him and call him.
Is it ringing or going straight to voicemail? Or?
I think that it was showing blue yesterday. Today it's been showing green. I think I texted him twice and called him maybe a couple of times. And it was just green. So I assumed it was either dead or off. But yesterday it was blue. And so I probably got there about 2:30 or so, and I unlocked the door, and the chain was on. And I was, yelling through the door because I could see his bedroom door was closed, and kept saying, Matthew, come to the door. And I waited and waited. And so I kept trying to push the chain just to break it. And about the time that I finally got it to unscrew out of the wall, he walked out of his bedroom. And the gun was right by the bed. And I said, what is this? He said, well, I thought somebody was breaking into the apartment. And I said, well, why would you think that? I was screaming, Matthew, this is Mom. And, this is 2:30 in the afternoon, and he's in a dead sleep in his bed when he's supposed to be in class.
There are particular reasons for
We all have a gun.
I haven't been to your house.
Yeah, your guys have a gun. You're child right now.
Sure, they got it.
I specifically told them exactly where I put it.
And like I said, I really appreciate you.
We don't have any secrets here. We're just.
But that is why we were there yesterday, because I was concerned that I couldn't get in touch with him, and I wanted to tell him about what happened.
Did you have suspicions while you went over there?
I had there was no barking Wednesday night or whenever that occurred. Was it Wednesday night?
Yes.
Yes. Wednesday night, my dogs bark at everything. I mean, they bark when I go outside. I can't find anything. We didn't hear a sound. And so I have no idea what happened. If he was there, he was not in the house.
Not in our house.
Not in our house.
No. I just want to make sure. When you heard about what happened to you at your neighbor's house, was there any suspicion that Matthew may have been involved?
I would never. I mean, we've never even met the new people. Never even met them. And Matthew knew that the other people moved out long ago. It never occurred to me that he had anything to do with this.
The reason we asked is when we talked to Matthew, he said that you asked him if he killed neighbors.
Well,
Here's, let me back up. I speak to him pretty regularly, trying to keep the spirits up, let him know I'm coming, we're going to do something, blah, blah, blah. He called me Tuesday night. I spoke to him Tuesday night. How you doing, buddy? Everything okay? How's school? What are you doing? He said, I was at the gas station filling up my car, filling up his car. And he was going to come home with his computer. And I said, great, you pick me up at the airport tomorrow, which was Wednesday night, Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday I talked to him. Pick me up at the airport at 6 o'clock. Yes. He said to me he was going home. She knew nothing about him being home. He never came in the house.
We've been listening to the parents of the defendant in this case, hearing them say for some reason their son had a fear someone was out to get him. More of the murder trial for Matthew Lanz when we come back. You're watching Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Tonight, on closing arguments,
Tell me in your own words, sir, why are you here?
I'm here to plead guilty.
we're unpacking new developments in the case against Brian Walsh.
Closing arguments with Vinnie Politan tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
My goal is to make sure that you remember me for the rest of your life.
You kill a man for acting like a junkie when you the one turned him into a junkie.
Interview with a Killer season finale Saturday night at 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on Court TV.
TV.
Now Now back to the stranger home invasion murder trial that's happening in the state of Georgia. Defendant Matthew Lanz is accused of breaking into his neighbor's Cobb County home and shooting and killing Justin and Amber Hicks. They were both just 31 years old. Lanz was caught days later during another burglary in a neighboring county where he is accused of stabbing a police officer. Let's head back inside the courtroom. More of the police interview of the defendant's parents.
Home. He didn't unlock the doors. We don't even know. I don't even know if he ever came home.
He told us that he went home, but never went inside the house.
That's exactly what he told us, and that's what I said. The next day, when this occurred, I said, Teresa, I'm just nervous. Matthew told me he was coming home. Maybe he didn't come home, but we ought to call and see what's up with him.
So when you saw him, did you go to Athens too? His apartment?
Yeah.
After my daughter picked him up from the airport.
You went first, and
My other daughter picked me up when we drove.
I tried to get him to come back home with me, and he said, no, I don't need to come home.
Because his place in Athens.
Yes.
He had it for a while.
Yeah, yes. He moved in August.
August. Okay, so you've been over there multiple times?
Yes. Yes.
How is it usually about? Is it neat and orderly, or is it a state of chaos? Or
No, it's always very neat and clean and orderly.
When you saw him, I guess that would have been Thursday, right? When you saw him Thursday, what is his appearance? Was he drunk? Was he?
He was not drunk.
Out of it? Was he saying weird things?
He always says weird things. He wouldn't say weird things lately. He was just really, go ahead, I'll let you say, but he was just really mean.
When he got up at 2:30 in the afternoon, you could tell he had been sleeping very hard because, his eyes were swollen and he was kind of disoriented at first. And I said, what are you doing in bed? Why aren't you in class? And he said, I was just really tired. And I said, why are you so tired? I can't remember what he said, but I probably said, Daddy said you were coming home. I said, well, you weren't at home. I said, well, what is going on? And at first he told me that he came in the house. And I said, there's no way you came in the house because the dogs would bark and flip out. I said, there's no way you were inside our house. And I said, and, we have a thing that we latch and lock it. And I said,
yes.
Yeah. I said, how could you have gotten in? And then later he said, no, I didn't come in the house. And so I didn't really believe that he actually was anywhere in the vicinity. And that's when I said, when of course, I saw the gun and we had that conversation. I said, did you have anything to do with what happened to the neighbors? And that's when I told him, what happened to the neighbors. He didn't respond immediately. Like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I think he was just still not alert. I mean, you could tell.
He wasn't alert because he was still trying to wake up, or was he just, it was all kind of an out trance kind of thing?
I don't know. I mean, I honestly can't answer that. I don't know if it was that, he was just not quite yet, because later on, after I'd been there for quite a while before Scott came, he was more alert and talking, more clearly.
Did he ever give you an actual yes or no response about the yes to that question?
He said, I did not murder anybody.
So other than him kind of sleeping in late, is that unusual for him to sleep till 30?
We don't know. We should see him on the weekend. We
don't know
say how your class is going.
How about when he stays at your house? Because he sleeps until 30
Yeah, not that late, no.
So it's a little unusual for him to sleep in late. He looked tired when he woke up, but everything in the apartment seemed normal.
Yeah.
Okay. That's who actually physically took the gun? Me. Okay.
He wouldn't give it to her. That's why Teresa had to call me and say, Scott, you did come. I said, get Matthew in the car, bring him to our house. And he refused to go home. That's when she called me and said, I'm here, blah, 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 blah. He's off his rocker. I'm going to have Amber Ryan pick you up at the airport if you come. So I went, felt the same thing, and talked about it. Asked point blank, were you involved? And it was not a yes or a no. It was off the wall answers that really made no sense. And if you talk to him long enough, somebody they may get a sense that he's, I don't know. So we said, let's go. You're going, Mom's going with Amber Ryan because she picked me up, and I'll drive you and I. I said, Dad, I want to stay here. I said, why? Why would you want to come home? We were going to come home last night. You did. Said, I just want to stay. I got classes, blah, 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 blah. So I said, okay, but I'm taking the gun. And he went and got it and said, Dad, possession's possession. I'm the owner. You can't do this to me, blah, blah, blah. I said, Matthew, I don't give a flip. I'm taking the gun. I don't. You can have the bullets, but I'm taking the freaking gun. And it bothered him.
Well, no, he said you should take the bullets too. He told you should take the bullets too.
I just wanted the gun. If he has bullets, and I can't use them. Honestly, I think he did the right thing. I'm not a parent, but if I was, I've done what I thought was, we were going to leave him to shoot himself. Or somebody else. Now, I know you're not, and I don't, and that's terrible to think and terrible to say, but his mindset was completely.
But you would think it's his psychiatrist that he's been seeing every 2 weeks because we wanted him to continue to meet with him, because of what happened to Austin. Because he said, we asked him, we said, would you like to continue to go? And he said, yeah, I think it'd be good for me. But maybe because he's 22 years old that he can't tell us anything. I don't know.
I know you said you're not a gun guy.
I am absolutely not a gun guy.
Do you have any idea what kind of gun it was?
Was a...
I have no idea.
But do you know what color it was?
Black.
Oh, it was black. And did it look like, kind of like what I had right here? Is that a Glock?
This is, yeah, no, it wasn't a Glock. Because the other two guns we have are Glocks. This one was, I looked at it. Was it shaped like this? It was shaped like that, same size. Yeah.
But the holster's not that big.
Okay.
It's just about that wide.
It's okay. No, I understand you're not.
88, 99 caliber. I don't even remember.
Okay. I was just curious. So he had the bullets at his house.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the bullets? Can you describe those to me?
They were about that big. They were little. They weren't that big.
If I use the word casing, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Showcase. What color was the showcase?
Gold.
The showcase was gold. Okay. Did he have any other ammo at his house or anything like that? Okay.
Not that, because the gun and the ammo was in his drawer. It was on the floor next to his bed when
I got there.
After 3 hours, he put it in his little drawer box.
Do you have any other magazines there?
Yeah, he had two. One beside it and one in it.
Okay.
Well, it was not in it. It was just kind of hanging out.
Okay. Did those have the same ammo and they're different?
Same. But that's not, yeah, I think it was the same. Okay. Because I said to him, how many are in these? He said, 8, maybe.
I don't know.
I said, how many are missing from the other one?
He said he shot 5 or 6 rounds at the gun range.
He's fired 5 or 6 shots at the gun range. If I showed you a little bit, would you be able to recognize the type? I think so. Did you ever see an ammo that looked kind of like this?
The bullets aren't that fat and big. Well, they're not that big.
And these had no silver on them like that?
I don't think they were silver. They were gold.
Okay, so gold. All right.
They were little.
Now, I know you said you've seen a psychiatrist. Has he actually been diagnosed with it?
I mean, I told told the psychiatrist that, you know, I thought that he was either bipolar or schizophrenic.
We are listening to the parents just talking about their son seeing the psychiatrist, asking him if he had anything to do with what took place next door at the neighbor's house, and he just looked at them, didn't respond. Let's bring in National Trial Attorney Michael Jaffer. Michael, what is your takeaway from listening to the parents?
We asked on the prior block whether or not they were shocked. The dad said it all. He said, we knew Matthew was not right. Those are his words. That's the father, right? An expert, before this trial is done, the defense attorney will put up an expert who will interview the defendant, who will look at this police interview and will tell the judge exactly what I know he'll tell him, which is this child has bipolar schizophrenia and all the stuff accompanying it. So this interview is not a shock at all. This is exactly this is stereotypical bipolar disorder. The actions that this young man is alleged to have done are all in line with what the parents are saying. Their real feelings about this child is coming out right now. It's sad. It's mental health. It is what it is. It's a very difficult part of the very dark part of the world.
Yeah, it is, Michael. You know, it took them 10 months to evaluate Mr. Lanz, to get him ready and say that he was competent to appear in court, to be in trial. 10 months, I mean, maybe you think that was long enough? You think he should be sitting there?
You know what? That's a tough one. That's a tough question. 10 months does not shock me. Sometimes you're never able to get somebody ready for trial. Sometimes you have, you know, pressure to bring a person to trial. There's dynamics behind the scenes with the state and with the psychiatric analysis people who are bringing you to trial. 10 months, it could be 10 months, it could be 5 years. Sometimes some people are never brought up to speed. But when you're bipolar schizophrenia, you will have lucid moments where they'll say, oh, he's ready for trial right now. But then a week later, you talk to that person, they're a different person than the person a week ago you said was ready for trial. So I don't know if this person will ever be ready for trial more than an hour or two every month.
Yeah, good point, Michael. Michael, always great to see you. Thank you for your insight. We're saying goodbye to Michael Jaffer.
Yeah.
We'll have more of the police interview of Matthew Lanz's parents when we come back. Don't go anywhere. This is Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice.
Oregon.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Judge Ashley Wilcott. Of course, honored to be with you today. We are in Cobb County, Georgia for the murder trial of Matthew Lanz. Childhood sweethearts Justin and Amber Hicks were found dead from multiple shotgun wounds in their brand new home back in November of 2021. Now, prosecutors say that Lanz, whose parents live behind the Hicks' new house, broke in and killed the couple in a seemingly random attack. Before we get you back into court, here's a closer look at the background of this case.
We've tried calling multiple times now. My brother's phone rings a few times before going to voicemail. My sister-in-law's phone immediately goes to voicemail.
On November the 18th, 2021, a family's worst nightmare came true.
Prosecutors say just 2 months after Georgia firefighter Justin Hicks and his wife Amber bought their dream home, they were shot to death inside it. Officers found their 2-year-old son alone upstairs, his pajamas stained with blood.
Justin and Amber got Jacob ready for bed, got him fed, cleaned up the house, and put him down for the night. But what the Hicks didn't know is that on this night, there was someone lurking on the outside of their home.
Police say that the person was 22-year-old Matthew Scott Lanz, seen here on surveillance circling the Hicks' home in suburban Ackworth, Georgia, about an hour outside of Atlanta. Lanz is accused of breaking into the home through a back window. Once inside, police say Lanz shot Justin and Amber at close range, leaving them dead in their living room and their son alive upstairs.
The Hicks were unaware. They were defenseless. They were executed. All while Jacob was asleep upstairs.
Lanz pleaded not guilty to charges of malice murder, and he waived his right to a jury, choosing instead to have a Cobb County judge decide his fate. Prosecutors say Lanz's phone was in airplane mode during the murders, but shell casings recovered at the scene were linked to a pistol that he owned. Before an arrest was made for the couple's murders, prosecutors say Lanz broke into another home nearly 25 miles away. Lanz allegedly stabbed one of the responding officers before he was shot and taken into custody. He faces separate charges in that case, including attempted murder of a police officer.
Matthew believes that he is set up either FBI, CIA, or some government agency.
According to court documents, Lanz has an older brother, Austin, who allegedly broke into the same home the Hicks later purchased. Austin took his own life in 2021 following an alleged attack on a Pentagon officer. Matthew Lanz faces up to life in prison without the possibility of parole if convicted. All right, now let's head back into court for more of the police interview. This is the Lanz's parents, and this interview was conducted after his arrest. Now, just shortly before this, they said that the mother said she was concerned that he was bipolar or schizophrenic. Let's go back in.
You know, of the episodes that we've seen over the last few years.
So it's been a few years now.
About 2.5 years.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think of
No, it's fine. No, take your time. That's all right.
Yeah.
You don't have the right phrase. So a couple years.
Yeah.
So like high school years?
No, he was always an excellent straight A student, went to magnet school at Kennesaw Mountain, athlete, played lacrosse, never got in trouble, never drank, never was, and was the good crowd kid. When he went to Georgia, I wanted him to get in a fraternity to help him because he was kind of a geek, he was in computer magnet school, and I just thought it would help him socially at Georgia. I just didn't want him sitting in his dorm or apartment all day on the computer. So I said, I think it will help you socially. You'll really enjoy it. My daughter went down with a sorority, loved it. And so I think that was the beginning of the end. Of course, he got in there and started drinking and smoking, and Lord only knows what else those guys do. And, I think he started smoking pot. He had never smoked pot before. And the kind of crap that those kids get now, I don't know what's in it, but it's not the kind of pot from way back when. And so we started seeing, his grades started plummeting after the first semester. And behavior, yes.
Was he struggling at school recently? Yes.
Yes. He's been struggling ever since.
Yeah, they were doing a smoke out of some sort. Y'all probably know this at the fraternity house, and it got him way off track, I think, and he went up and again, he always had something. He had a knife.
Yeah, a knife that Austin had given him, a hunting knife.
And he took it downstairs, waved it around. Some people freaked out.
He was paranoid.
And so he was.
He didn't get arrested.
He didn't get arrested.
He was, he's on probation, and he had 2 more left.
Well, he got had to go through the code of conduct through school because it was on their fraternity house was on school campus, not off campus.
Okay.
So when they contacted the fraternity council to tell them what had happened, they in turn contacted the school. Well, then the school bar called me and said, I'm calling to let you know there was an incident at his fraternity house. He is on his way home. And so we got an attorney to get him back in school because they wanted to keep him out like 2 semesters, like a whole year. And we just felt like, you know, this kid's never been in trouble. He got so high, he didn't know what he was doing. He needs a second chance because he's just a great student, great kid.
But it was Clark County Police.
Yeah. So I drove him to the police station and turned himself in because of the attorney recommended.
Do you think that incident was because he got too high and was on some strong stuff, or do you think that was the beginning of maybe? I think he was smoking a tremendous amount of pot at that time, and I think that was the beginning of all the episodes. And we didn't know this, but another episode occurred before that when he was living in the dorm. They said he was running through the dorm and banging his head against the wall when he was real high one time. And the people would come to check on the well-being.
With their community.
Yeah. But they didn't ever notify us because they didn't seem to think.
Never got better.
He
kind of stayed the same. I think he quit smoking because he was on. He had to do weekly work every Sunday. He went to the police station. So I think he was straight for a period of time. And then once he completed that, kind of slid back to the old days.
Was he ever on like an academic probation for that stuff? No. So struggling in school, but still maintaining grades.
He wouldn't tell us.
Well,
he's become really defiant, really. I think go ahead.
He came home, you know, when that happened in the fall of his sophomore year. That's when that happened, like in October at the fraternity. And so he stayed home through. Did you go back the spring semester?
For COVID.
Oh yeah, that's when COVID hit, so he had to stay home. He was allowed to go back to school and take classes, but he had to do it online because that's when COVID hit. So he was home that whole year, and then that summer, and then this is his junior year, and so he went back. Well, we got him an apartment in April because he couldn't find any community service in Cobb County for his program. Yeah.
So he was full hope scholarship for 2 quarters. Came out of Kennesaw High School with a 4 point something, and went to Georgia and had a 3.6 and a 3.5, and joined the fraternity and all went to hell. And my guess is today he had 1 good quarter because we said you got to straighten up. We're paying a lot of money, and I think this quarter will be his worst to the nature.
It was engineering, and he switched it to cognitive science.
Which again is, I don't know, what cognitive science.
It's a new major, I think, at Georgia, but
if the bullet matches, he's done it.
All right, they have already told during this police interview that he was seeing a psychiatrist, that they knew what had happened with the brother, that they were trying to treat all of that. Stay tuned, a lot more is coming. What else they tell police? More of the murder trial for Matthew Lanz is up next.
Tonight, on closing arguments.
Tell me in your own words, sir, why are you here?
I'm here to plead guilty.
We're unpacking new developments in the case against Brian Walsh.
Closing arguments with Vinnie Politan tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
The disappearance of Anna Walsh.
Her husband now charged with her murder.
All eyes on this accused killer.
The disappearance of Anna Walsh murder trial. Live coverage begins December 1st on Court TV.
Let's head back now to Georgia, where the murder trial of Matthew Lanz remains underway. He stands accused of fatally shooting Justin and Amber Hicks inside their dream home back in 2021. The police found their 2-year-old son 12 hours later inside the house, covered in blood, trying to cuddle his deceased parents. Right now, we are watching an interview the police conducted of the defendant's parents, Scott and Teresa. Let's go back in for more of what they have to say about their son's behaviors.
I'll be honest with you. We will be testing that. I don't have the result for that right this second, but I don't will be there.
Do you know how many times the people have shot? Both of them, each multiple.
Let me ask you this. You guys know where in the house bodies were?
I talked to the grandparents out in the street briefly, and they told me that the authorities told them they were sitting on the sofa. They were found sitting on the sofa.
You know what room they were in?
I'm assuming that must be their den.
Don't know what room you're assuming.
No, I don't know.
Did you tell them that?
The sofa.
Did you ever tell them what room they were in?
I never told
your son.
Matthew.
You had something where I didn't go into any details about it other than all I wanted to know was he was he involved, yes or no.
Did you have any medication for doctors?
Not that we're aware of.
And I know you say he's been doing strange things or saying strange things. Is there something specific that's kind of like a repetitive behavior with him, whether it be in your presence or on the phone? Does he paranoid about a specific thing? Is there something he specifically fixates on?
Fixates on having to have a weapon to protect himself, especially since what happened to Austin.
Is this like a everyday thing, or is it kind of comes and goes, like he had good weeks and bad weeks, or is whatever's going on with him mentally?
Well, when he came home and he asked to see where the guns were, I was the only one that knew where the key was. And so Daddy Scott said, I don't know where the key is, Matthew, but I will get Mom to go get it, and I will show you where the guns are, that they're safe and they're put away, and they'll be here for whenever. And so I went and got the key and, unlocked it and came in, and he and Scott sat there and he showed him, that everything was in the safe. And
no, you can't take it. It's locked back up. It'll be here when we think it's time to do something with it.
So he was pretty big on protecting himself.
Mm-hmm.
Did he ever express anything of why he needed protection?
Well, that's
like a specific threat that he thought was?
I think he thought there were folks out to get him, and I think it was on the devilish, demonic side of his mind that he was hearing things, seeing things, believing things that weren't true, that led him to believe somebody's going to come get me. I don't know.
Did he ever say any of that?
Well, yes. One day when I was in Athens, he drove me past this temple that he said were devil worshippers, because he said he was sitting outside one night and he heard a woman or somebody scream to the top of their lungs. And we said, where do you think that was coming from? He said, I think it was coming from the demonic temple.
It was the Mason. The Masonic Watch. Okay. That's what it was. He drove me to it, too. I said, are you kidding me? He told me that on the phone when I was in D.C. The next time I saw him, said, tell me where all this happened. And it was 3/8 of a mile from his house. And I said, something doesn't make sense here. You can scream as loud as you can at that place. There's no way you hear it back at your place. So I was that in his mind?
I truly believe he believed.
He believed it. He believes things that I don't think would ever have occurred.
How long ago was that?
For me, 3 months ago.
3 months, yeah. Did he ever say anything about that the house where this happened, even before the homicide happened, but they were fixated on their house or talked about their house. Even the previous people who lived there.
Now, I mean, you know, when that was all going on with Austin, I would ask him, I would say, did you see any of this that Austin thinks he sees and that's going on? Have you ever seen them flashing lights at Austin? He says, I've seen the lights. And he said, you know, I think that one or both of them are messing with Austin. He said, you know, I've never seen them in person. He said, but, you know, I think that they are messing with Austin.
So, did Austin have a fixation on that house? Or
Well,
kind of
that is
He was putting things in the mailboxes. He believed that they were going in the bathroom and posing for him and turning the lights on and off and shining the laser in our house and just things that aren't normal, right? And God forbid we did everything we could for Austin, and he had similar issues with the dark side. I mean, it's all I could say. But they're not living in the real world.
Now, I know you said that. You said, yes, I saw them and those lights over there, and I think they were messing with Austin and stuff. Did you say anything about that house recently?
No, hasn't mentioned the house. Not at all.
Because I purposely, a few months, they sold their house a month after.
They sold their house.
After Austin.
Yeah. And the people, I think, moved in
September.
Maybe somewhere around
October.
September.
So I made a point to tell him that those people, the old people, are gone, and new people have moved in that house.
Because Matthew kind of told us about the light thing.
He did?
About the previous owners messing with Austin, because, like I said, I was very unfamiliar with what happened with Austin at that house prior.
Right.
Yeah,
It became an obsession.
This was new to me till today. And I could tell Matthew was very...
All right, let me bring in trial attorney Jean Rossi. Jean, I can't stop watching because we are listening to the narrative of parents describing their child spiraling from the very beginning of this kid's never been in trouble, and then he seemed to need a second chance. We drove him to the police station when there was another incident. That was the beginning of the episodes. Then we called a psychiatrist to say, can we come see you? We need to get him help. He was seeing a psychiatrist. It is a spiraling that goes out of control, and now he allegedly killed 2 people in a home invasion, stabbed a police officer. What are your thoughts as you're listening to these parents?
Well, it's your parents' worst nightmare when your child falls off the rails because of drugs, alcohol abuse, or any other substance. And it must be Judge, it must be incredibly painful for those parents to be sitting there knowing that interview is being recorded and just spill out their guts about their son, who it appears, absent the substance abuse and all those challenges, he was a pretty smart student, had a GPA of 3.5 or above. So it's very sad, very sad.
It's really sad, but let's also talk about his demeanor as he's listening. We know there's no jury in this trial. It's a bench trial. The judge is going to make the decision. Yeah. But the entire time that police video is being played, we have a shot of the defendant. I don't think I've seen his head look up once. Now, we also know that prior to this trial, he had not been found competent. Of course, now he is found competent, which is why they're proceeding. Maybe that means, Gene, that he's on medication. We don't know that. But what are your immediate thoughts about his demeanor, knowing the judge is sitting there looking at him during this?
Well, in a bench trial, as you know, the only person you care about, the one juror, where the judge is both the umpire of the law and the facts, you know that you are trying to impress the judge. So he may be on medication right now. It may be a form of embarrassment, or he's just stunned to see his parents, their interview being played. So I don't know what's going through his mind, but it's a very uncomfortable situation. I see his photo right there when he probably in much better times, and it just looked like a kid who just fell off the rails because of drugs and other substances.
Yep, and it could be the mental health issues. The mother mentioned during the interview they were afraid he was schizophrenic or bipolar. And I just want to comment, during this police interview, at one point, Matthew Lanz speaks again and says, none of this makes any sense. So it's kind of an interesting perspective to hear. That's what he had to say during this police interview. We are going to get more expertise from Eugene. Please stand by. Up next, we will have more of this murder trial from Matthew Lanz. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ashley Wilcott. Thank you so much for joining us today, where it is day 2 of testimony in the trial of a man accused of killing his neighbors, then going on a violent crime spree, in Georgia. The defendant, Matthew Lanz, is accused of brutally murdering Justin and Amber Hicks in their home near Atlanta in November of 2021, and then leaving their 2-year-old son alone for more than 12 hours until the police found him in the home. Lanz was arrested 2 days later after he stabbed a police officer who responded to a burglary call at another home. Other officers fired at Lanz, hitting him twice. This is a bench trial, meaning the judge will decide Lanz's fate. There's no jury. And right now, the court is watching the police interview of the defendant's parents. Let's go back to that for more.
We'd ask him, hey, what happened with your brother in the house? And why did he go over there that one time at their house and got in trouble? Because I don't want to talk about that house. What happened to my brother? He seemed like he was very, I don't want to talk about that. But then he would say, yes, they used to mess with the lights. You talk about the lights, the flicker lights out all the time. The thing that I guess these are little details for us, but things that were concerning for us was that the new residents in their window had a flashing Christmas tree that would go on and off, just flashlight. And Austin told us he was out in the backyard. Matthew told us he was out in the backyard that kept seeing this light up the corner. I commented from the neighbor's house.
So he told y'all he was there.
He told us he came to your house the night from that. Sat in the car for like 15 minutes. Took like a power nap, essentially. Walked around the backyard, smoked a cigarette, kind of hanging out there for a little bit. And they said,
and did he say
he
came in the house?
He said he never went into your house, I guess.
See, why would he tell me that he came in our house?
He said he didn't go. He said he got a bad feeling in there. And then that spooked him, and then he left. That's what he was saying. But this fixation about the lights was what they were trying to kind of understand what he meant by that. What Austin, what
he was saying that he saw flashing lights in the backyard.
He said he saw a light flickering out of his peripheral.
Well, I was trying to figure out if he was really there, because I said, were there any lights on in the house behind us if you were here? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, were they on upstairs or downstairs? Because they left, I think, the lights on. They left everything exactly like they found it. And from what I've seen, it's the downstairs lights that are on, not the upstairs. And he said he used that term, those demonic lights were on. And I said, what? And he said, you know those demonic lights.
It's when he said this, was this at that Athens apartment?
Yeah.
After this happened?
Yes.
But he told you that you're in the apartment, those demonic lights.
Yes. And I said,
why would he, what's the point of him telling you about the Christmas lights?
No, he didn't tell us about the Christmas lights. I'm telling you that when we're talking about flashing lights and stuff, the house just happened to have a flashing crash. So that was something we were thinking, like,
he mentioned flashing lights.
Mm-hmm. We were trying to think.
Inside the house, there's a flashing Christmas tree in the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he called it demonic light to me. Really? And that's why I just didn't believe he was really there. Honest to God, I just believed he was just not coherent. I said, Matthew, if you came home and you say you came in the house, the dogs would have heard you. The dogs would have barked. The light, we have one of those lights that automatically comes on when you walk in.
Right.
The light would have come on. I'm a very light sleeper. I said, there's no way you were inside our house. And he said, yeah, you're right. I didn't come in the house.
Yeah, I believe him. I believe he didn't go inside that.
So, you know, one minute he's telling me one thing and the next minute he's telling me another. So I just didn't know what to believe. And that's when I probably said, did you have anything to do with those people like this?
You know he was up in Metro Atlanta?
Oh, I had
today.
no idea.
You what? Did you know he was up in Metro Atlanta today?
No.
Did you think he was still in Athens?
We thought he was in Athens.
I didn't know if he said, hey, I'm coming back.
Right. No, last night.
Sandy Springs. Yeah. Or just, anyway.
No.
Yeah. Did you think he was still in Athens? Yeah.
Yes, because we said when we left, you know, buddy, if you stay here, you've got to go to class. You know, don't do it online. Go in person. And he said, I am. So I texted him this morning because I thought his classes were at 11 and said, you up? And he didn't respond. And then I tried calling him, and it just went straight to voicemail. And I thought, oh, God, he's still asleep. He did not get up. And so I might have called him again at some point, and it went straight to voicemail again. And so I told Scott, I said, you know, I guess we need to go back tomorrow and see what the world's going on.
I wasn't sure if he called you and said, I'm coming home.
No. We told him that if he didn't come home with us last night, just to stay and come home Tuesday when classes were over. But he's never said any other negative thing about that house. You know, once that was all over and done, and he said something to me. I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but he said, no, I don't hold a grudge. Austin didn't hold a grudge, and I don't hold a grudge. When I said, did you have anything to do with those people? And he said something like, no, I don't hold a grudge.
And when you explained to him, hey, those previous residents don't live here anymore, a new family does, seemed like he understood that when you explained that to him.
Definitely.
It wasn't just a appointed time conversation. It was a conversation about a lot of things. We were on the golf course. I don't remember when or where. You know, he was always need to know. I need to know everything you're doing. I need to know everything. Right? Matthew was always one that needed to get some information. So he knew what we were doing. He knew if we were going on vacation, if we were going to do this and that.
But it was in the newspaper, and he knew all the newspaper articles that the guy had moved out the week before Austin broke in there. So he knew that no one was living there. And then the guy put in the media that the girl had moved out way back in October. And we didn't know that. We thought they were both there that whole time.
So it never seemed like he forgot that you had that conversation and forgot that they would.
No.
There would never been a reason to have another conversation.
I mean, there was a for sale sign in the yard.
Right.
You know, he knew that you know it was for sale, and he knew that the guy had moved out.
He doesn't have a roommate, does he?
No.
With this family. But is that house an apartment?
An apartment.
The off-campus?
Off-campus.
Up in a little old apartment building was pretty nice.
Give the address.
Yeah.
Did friends over there? I mean, did social? He's still in the fraternity at a couple?
Yes.
No.
As his freshman friend, it was a great kid. Korean guy that went to Kennesaw Mountain with him, right?
Yeah.
And as a freshman, they roomed together. great kid. He still keeps in touch with him. He had fraternity incidents, and he got decommissioned or de-pledged. I don't think he has much conversation with him. I don't think he has a lot of friends.
I asked him last night.
Quiet guy. He's a loner. He's just not very social.
But he wasn't.
Kind of like me. At a Christmas party, I'm hesitant to walk in, and I'm standing off in the corner.
You can tell the police were trying to find out why this house. Why did he target this house? The mother said, well, we never had anything negative to say about that house. Stay with us. You don't want to miss. We're going to have more of this interview with the parents in the murder trial for Matthew Lanz up next.
You have to punish him? You have to kill him for a few $100?
You don't touch fire and expect not to get burned. My goal is to embarrass you. My goal is to make you suffer. My goal is for pain. Make sure that you remember me for the rest of your life.
You weren't feeling any sympathy?
If I'm being honest now.
You kill a man for acting like a junkie when you're the one turned him into a junkie.
Interview with a Killer season finale, Saturday night at 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on Court TV.
Now back to the stranger home invasion murder trial out of Georgia. The defendant, Matthew Lanz, is accused of breaking into his neighbor's Cobb County home and shooting and killing Justin and Amber Hicks. They were both just 31 years old. Lanz was caught days later during another burglary in a neighboring county, Fulton County, where he is accused of stabbing a police officer. Let's head back inside the courtroom now. This is more the police interview with the defendant's parents.
But he never, I don't think he ever got past the fraternity incident. Socially, I think that, the fraternity told all the fraternity brothers not to have anything to do with him. And I think, that was a huge.
435 North Church, apartment 4. Or 4. Yeah, 435 North Church. Yeah, it's Athens, 435 North Church Street, apartment 4. Yeah, I mean, it's very neat. It's very orderly. Yeah, he does his laundry regularly. It's clean. There's not trash everywhere. He used to cook himself some food. He's now gone off on a little different tangent. Don't feel like he's been eating. Him and Austin pretty close.
Yeah. I mean, they were home together for almost 2 years. Once Matthew had to come home his sophomore year, and Austin was there all that time, and then Matthew was home until last April.
Did he take it pretty hard afterwards?
Yeah.
And I understand you so. And it would be good to sympathize with you. We're just trying to understand what Matthew's mindset was after that. It just did not. It was hard on him for a month, few weeks or a month. That's why every weekend I would go do something with him.
When did that happen?
Austin got it was August. It was August 21.
He had a breakdown on the way home from Virginia when we had to go up there and see the body.
We had one last chance to go see Austin at the funeral home before we had him cremated, and we said, Matthew, you have a choice. You want to come with us? And he wanted to, and I think that hit him pretty hard. And did he seem like he got maybe worse? Maybe delusions or mentally after?
Yeah, I mean, he had a physical, crying breakdown in the car, driving home for 10 hours. Yeah. That's the first time he had just let it all out, and he was just screaming and mad as hell and crying and just talking crazy. And we just were like, oh my God. And that's when we, called psychiatrists and said, can we come in and all meet and talk?
Other than what happened today and wanting to protect himself, which is understandable. I get people want to protect. Have you ever had violent outbursts? Anybody?
No.
I know he waved the knife around at Georgia,
but yeah.
He never assaulted anybody.
Not that we are
tried to
aware
stab
of.
anybody or I pointed a gun at somebody for no reason. Or anything.
That never to my knowledge. Never.
I think it's been just in the last 6-8 weeks that he's tilted. He tilted. And
Or anything?
nothing right. I can't put my finger on it.
I think he knows that he's failing and that it's eating away at him, the pressure. And he told me last night that he had dropped Spanish. And I said, has that been eating away at you that you haven't told me and you're just now telling me? And he said, yes. And I said, are you going to your other classes? Because we weren't convinced that he's going to his classes. And he says, yes, I have. And he says, I'm still over, I'm taking a full course, even having dropped.
He didn't wake up today and go to a 10 o'clock class. He didn't hang around to do a 1 o'clock class. He went to Sandy Springs.
That's insane to me.
We hugged him last night, right?
Yeah.
And said, we love you. Get your butt up, go to class, and we'll see you on Friday, because he had class
Tuesday, Scott. We told him
Tuesday. Right.
You guys pretty much spent the whole day. So.
I was there from 2:30 until, Scott didn't fly in until 6:15, and then they had to drive there.
I didn't get there till 9, but we left
9:30, 10.
a little later than that.
I think y'all were getting home when we were leaving.
Is that right? Yeah, because we got home about 11:30.
Yeah.
I think y'all we did pull out. I saw y'all pull in the driveway.
That was us. Yeah.
Yeah, they for some reason he drove up in his car, left it abandoned by the road.
On the highway?
What? Well, he was off.
He was off. Got off the 285 on the north side. Or north side. New north side.
This morning, 8 in the morning, left his car in the middle of the road.
In the middle of the road?
In a lane, and a Hero truck found it, and it was abandoned, so they just kind of pushed it over to the side because it was just in the middle of the road.
Where, at 85?
No, it was
85 north side. In Sandy Springs.
Yeah, right on the Fulton County line.
Right in the middle of the road.
Yeah. And there was a camera. They had some traffic cameras over there. You could see him getting out, kind of pacing around, and just walks away. And then the next thing they find him, I don't remember how far away. Down the road, goes into one house, walks out, and then goes into another house, which there were people home at the time. They told him, hey, what are you doing here? Get out of our house. Started saying some things that they thought were unusual. He wouldn't leave. He walked up the stairs, walking upstairs to their house. They called the police, and that's when that whole incident with Sandy Springs.
Right?
Yeah, he lost his mind quickly.
And I don't know every specific detail. That's just kind of what they relate to us.
You just stop your car in the middle of a road.
We don't know if they died or
we don't know if they had a mechanical problem or ran out of gas or what, but we know he just left it there. We had to do the Jimmy the door. Now the Hero trucks can just kind of drag it out of the way, but Sandy Springs obviously did a search warrant on the black Lexus that he has. And when I saw them, they had to Jimmy the door.
It was locked. So he left it in the middle of the road, locked.
I don't know where his keys are.
We don't know if an officer, when they towed the car, locked the car, and the keys are in evidence somewhere. I don't know if the keys are in the car. We don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know if there was a mechanical problem or ran out of gas or whatever. All I can tell you is that they found it kind of just.
Still with us, trial attorney Gene Rossi. Gene, I can't think of a trial we've covered recently where the parents of the defendant are giving so much information to law enforcement that doesn't help the defendant. And I wonder, listening to this, why perhaps you think there might have been any kind of plea in this deal.
Well, in terms of plea, I think the defendant probably is embarrassed and doesn't want to acknowledge what he did. That's number one. Number two, there could be still a competency issue. And three, maybe the parents are hoping that the judge will find maybe diminished capacity and that he get convicted of a lesser included defense or offense. Could be all those reasons. But it really is sad to have him sit there and listen to his parents just spill his emotional travails and challenges. It must be extremely painful. And the last point I want to make is they made a very wise decision to waive jury and go with a judge, a bench trial.
Tell us why. We have about 30 more seconds, and I would love your thoughts. I think I agree with you, but tell us why.
Well, when you have drugs, juries don't like drugs. So they don't give people excuses for committing crimes while they're on drugs. That's number one. I think a judge would step back and look at the whole picture, the gestalt. And I think a judge, she or he, would be more dispassionate in reviewing the evidence. I just think the facts of this case are too inflammatory to present to a jury if I'm a defense attorney.
I would agree with you. The emotion of the case, because we know, although a jury is not to make a decision based on emotion, come on, first time you're hearing all of this, it's going to be emotional to hear. Absolutely agree with you. Gene Rossi, of course, thank you so much for being on with us. Coming up next, Matt Johnson joining me for more of the police interview of Matthew Lanz's parents. Stay with us. They give us even more information. You don't want to miss it here on Court TV Live.
Time.com.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Judge Ashley Wilcott.
And I'm Matt Johnson, in today for Michael Ayala. Thanks for being with us. We are watching day 2 of testimony in the murder trial against defendant Matthew Lanz.
Now, this is a bench trial, meaning the judge will decide Lanz's fate. He is facing multiple charges, including murder and assault for allegedly shooting a couple to death inside of their own dream home. Now, their 2-year-old son was found also in the home. Fortunately, he was unharmed, although he was found 12 hours later.
Lanz also stands accused of breaking into several other houses 30 miles away and then stabbing a police officer in the neck. While prosecutors say that there's no specific motive for his actions in this case, Lanz claims that he's the victim of a government conspiracy.
Let's head back into court now. We are listening to the police interview with Matthew Lanz's parents. Let's go back in for the remainder.
The first house, he just walked in?
I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. I'm not 100% sure because I'm not doing that investigation for him. I was told there was 2 houses he went into. One of them, I know at least one of them was occupied.
Okay.
And I know the second one, he was walking up the stairs, walking around. They were like, "What are you doing in my house? Get out of here." And started saying some things they thought were unusual. They call Sandy Springs. Their officers show up, comes down the stairs. At first, he was very kind of cordial and not doing anything unusual. And next thing you know, he pulled out a knife, stabbed the officer several times. And then they had one of the other officers over there open fire on him. And I know he shot him twice.
Where was he shot?
Took one in the neck. Don't know exactly. I want to say I know he took one in the neck. I think shoulder, chest area. They had to transport him. But he did receive medical care. And was released. And then we cleared him to be released. He's in y'all's custody now. He's in Sandy Springs. They charged him with, I don't know every single charge, but several things. Criminal trespass. So they charged him several.
Aggravated assault on an officer.
Oh,
He's dead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, he's got quite a few charges.
So what has he said about our next neighbor?
So he told us about the issue with Austin and the whole thing about the lights. And about the lights, he admitted to being there that night as far as on the pure property in the backyard.
You don't remember mentioning anything about the living room, where the bodies were?
I don't recall mentioning that to him.
He said that to us. We thought that was unusual because we never released that. We never released it to the media as far as us as the police department. And no, I don't know whatever people made a rumor mill to go through, but he made a comment that, yeah, I heard they were killed in the living room. Kind of looked at each other. We never told anybody that. I'm pretty sure I told him that someone had broken the window, and that did tell him that they thought that someone broke in while people were gone. And because that's what the grandparent told me, the grandfather, that the authorities told them that they think somebody broke in while they were gone and were in there and surprised them because he said they were just sitting on the sofa. So I might have told him that. Yeah, because I do remember telling him the window was broken in and that the grandfather thought someone was in there waiting. And he said, that was about the lights thing. And then that when he was out there smoking a cigarette, you could see the lights. That's seeing the light out the corner of his eye. Which obviously worried us, this whole fixation about the lights.
Right, true.
We asked him a question there, like, hey man, when we get your gun, the shell casing is going to match the sterile shell casings in the house. And he goes, probably not. Probably not.
It's probably not.
Probably. And I was like, man, you don't seem very confident in that answer. We said something about, like, why do you think this would happen to some of these people? He made a comment like they might have been demonic. They could have been demonic. So it seemed like he was there enough to not go into specific details, but there was also some things that were very concerning. But honestly, there were some camera footage of someone lurking around in their backyard. Some clothing that was similar to what he was wearing today. We asked him about a specific hoodie. He goes, I wasn't wearing that hoodie. I was wearing some other hoodie. Same color, though. We were like,
so he wasn't wearing the same clothes, was he?
Well, he goes, I wasn't wearing that hoodie. And I go, well, which hoodie was it? He goes, it was the North Face fitted one. And I was like, well, that's the one you were wearing today. So he kind of spaced it. Yeah. And then when we became a little upset, we realized there was a kid at the house. You could tell he kind of, put his head down and took a long pause and kind of stared off.
Yeah, I remember him when I told him that they had a child, and he said, were they okay? And I said, yes, they were okay. I said, but, they found him hiding. He was clearly, upset. Because I remember him saying he was okay.
Luckily, yes, the child was fine, luckily.
Oh, dear God. If it was him, he lost his mind. I mean, he lost his mind to go into someone's house in Sandy Springs. And you know that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He had an officer in officer shop.
He's crazy.
We haven't charged him with anything except a very specific spot. Okay. But I will prepare you that it is possible and it keeps going the way it's going. He may possibly well be charged with 2 counts of homicide and several other charges. Okay. Like I said, we're still investigating this thing. I just want to prepare you that it is a possibility from what we've gathered so far. Okay.
He'll never come out.
No.
Yeah, we'll put him in jail and he's never coming back.
It's crazy, Scott.
I know he is. I don't know if he is.
Hell.
You don't come out. You don't come out.
like I said, we haven't charged them with anything at this point. And I just want to prepare you that what we've collected so far, and it's.
But what's the process to continue? What's y'all's process?
We need to call Mr. Berry. We need to call an attorney.
That's. I mean.
Well,
what do you do after this is up to you.
That's all.
Like
we were here.
He's already has the criminal charges.
Yeah. Sure. My number is 404. 702.
702.
That's our number.
Four.
402.
402.
09. What's your number? 0952. Teresa.
0952.
Hey, Matthew.
Off my head.
Where's
some ladies?
They're all on my phone. I only know about you.
with Austin, but this is just. I can't believe this.
9619 7808.
7808.
8 yes.
Oh, God.
I'll just give you a minute. Step out. Get you more water. You guys might have some time together.
No.
I'm just in my question is I don't say that thing. That is true.
No, you're fine. Let me try to find Nikki. That was good.
I have a feeling.
You gotta make sure that you guys can get.
For the record, I'm stopping this video at 10:18 and 20 seconds. Detective, you see that both yourself and Detective Stannard exit the interview room. Is that the completion of the interview?
Yes, sir. I think we went back in one more time just to check on him,
But nothing of conversation as to this case, really?
Correct.
So I want to ask you some questions about some of your take.
Before you go into that, why don't we take a quick break? It's been about an hour and about 15 minutes. Give everyone an opportunity to stretch and get some water, and we'll come back at 2:50, about 10 minutes.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
All right, while they take that break, it's a good time to welcome our guest for this hour, trial attorney and law professor Joe Richardson, and also a friend of the program. Thanks for standing by and watching this with us. First thing, he seems to just look down, doesn't want to face the evidence against him.
Up.
Maybe that's part of the reason why the defense made a decision for a bench trial.
Good
Who
point,
knows?
Matt, yes.
But what I wanted to talk to you about was the fact that, you have the parents in this lengthy police interview. Sure, they appear to be getting emotional, but they're sharing a lot of details about the history of this defendant. And I'm wondering if there's a conviction here in this criminal case. Are the parents exposed in any civil lawsuit?
I don't know. I don't know that so clear they are, because among other things, he's an adult, right? If he's an adult, I don't remember any testimony that it was technically their gun as opposed to his, even though he decided to keep the gun, withdraw it. They could take a shot on the civil side, but as a practical matter, I don't know if that dog will hunt, as it were. It's a very difficult thing. You've seen it happen a little bit more often, where sometimes parents get sued because of what kids do. But most of the time, it's in the context of a child that's underage. And I don't think you have that here. And if you don't have that here, even though, it makes you call out for justice somewhere, right? They knew that he had a gun. They knew that he had maybe some mental problems, or, there's some things that they knew, right? But does that arise to the level of civil liability? You may be mad at them and they might be morally wrong. They might be imperfect parents on some level, but I don't know that graduates to them being legally wrong.